All right, hi guys. I am here with Shadow, absolutely amazing human. If you haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, I'm glad that you get to meet him now. Shadow, if you want to just introduce yourself, give everyone who doesn't already know you kind of like a, I don't know, like a summary.
Hi, my name is Shadow, or Justin, go by Shadow. I actually go by Shadow in real life too, at work. This is a small little thing. I am a little bit of a variety streamer. I mainly stream Final Fantasy 14. I do dabble a little bit in Dead by Daylight, but I'm also a stunt performer and stilt walker at Universal Studios in Hollywood. So yeah.
So awesome. I remember when I found that I was just like, what? No, hold on. I'm gonna turn up your volume real quick because I'm being told it's a little low. Sorry, can you say something real quick?
Hello. Test 1, test 2.
Okay. I think that should be good. I can adjust it further if I need to. Just a tad, that's good. Okay, cool. But yeah, no, I remember when I found out that you did like stilt walking, I was in awe and impressed because it's one of those that I remember like I don't know how you do it. I that's a question that I absolutely will have that I want to get into because I'm like, that's just so fascinating, and like how you ended up getting into that and everything, I think is super awesome. I guess starting out, I typically will start out with stream related questions just to kind of, I don't know, ease into it a little bit. Oop, there we go. Okay. But yeah, so I guess just starting off, how long have you been streaming and when did you start?
When I started was 2019 of October. October 1st? Yeah, October 1st. I typically I land it on Suki's birthday actually, which is my cat. So we celebrate both my Twitchiversary and the adoption, or like, and her birthday. So it's actually September 28th.
Okay.
And I started streaming when I first started. It was just something that was just kind of like, I thought about it and never actually wanted to, like, at the time I never thought about actually getting into streaming. I love playing video games ever since I was a kid. And I was just like, cool. One of my friends, Tony Noto, who I actually stilt walk with at Universal, is a like kind of a full-time streamer. And so he kind of while we were at work and everything, he was trying to explain a lot of stuff with me. And he's like, this is a bunch of like, you know, this is what streaming entails and everything. I was like, okay, cool. So I don't have a computer. This was actually my very first computer ever, and I built it myself. But
awesome.
I started streaming on PlayStation 4. And I remember that I literally had my PlayStation 4 camera and my little tiny ring light, and that's when I first started. So.
That's awesome. We actually didn't start too far apart because I started like July 2019, so kind of like same time frame. But yeah, I feel like it's so nice to move to like computer streaming after like PS4 because it's so, you know, like so limited into what you can do, and now you can play around with like, you know, overlay and everything. And what was the learning curve for you then? Not only starting just, you know, basically on PlayStation, but then also the learning curve of when you move to computer, and learning all of the different aspects that go into streaming that way.
The great thing about it is that my ex-boyfriend at the time, he knew about computers and how to build computers, so he kind of taught me how to like dabble in putting it together. And so I learned from him, and then I kind of grew the community, and a lot of my friends on stream or through the community actually helped me enhance the computer and build it what it is today. But a huge learning curve was that I knew nothing about technology. If you actually know about me and my gameplay, I'm more comfortable on controller than I am on mouse and keyboard. And a lot of people are like, no, like mouse and keyboard are, you know, where it's at. Like if I play Overwatch and stuff like that, I actually do a lot better on controller. Growing up, I've never actually had a computer. When we did have a computer, I've only was able to play like RuneScape and stuff. And other than that, it was just console. And so that was a whole learning curve trying to piece it together. It was like I like to say big kids Legos.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm so terrified, and
It's
I don't
higher
want
stakes Legos.
so but that was actually a whole learning curve. And then on top of like doing everything like the little nitpicky things like playing around with OBS, learning to use like Adobe software and stuff like that, I've never used any of this stuff, so it was completely like brand new to me. But you know, I just kind of taught myself. I did my research. I even reached out to other streamers and I saw what they did and I was like, hey, how did you do that? Actually, a big shout out to Hadriel, because he helped me a lot when it came to coding and doing fun stuff on OBS. So yeah,
I feel like that's kind of one of the cool things also as you grow as a streamer and meet other people, is that then when you're in this like I have no idea what I'm doing kind of thing, you know that there's someone who knows what they're doing who can help and just kind of like help you figure it out. But that's so neat. I love that.
Yeah.
Would you say that there's a, if you had to pick like the hardest thing about streaming for you overall, whether it be from when you're starting or even as you're used to it, what would you say that would be for you?
Oof. Hardest thing for me, and it's been a thing since day one, is that I never ever look at viewer count. The reasoning behind that is because it could be very discouraging and stuff like that, but I always I constantly say the rule of like, if you get into streaming, there's going to be people that want to come and join in and want to hang out with you and talk to you and interact with you. They're not there necessarily for the video game or the content that you're actually streaming. They're there for you. And so there's going to be people, and this I always like, you know, talk to and discuss to like newer streamers about this, is that do not look at the viewer count. Hide that number, get rid of it, because there are going to be people that are going to hang out and chat with you. And it can be very discouraging if you see that number, and if it drops, if it rises, if it's like, you know, a lot of people and a lot of streamers I always like interact with, they focus so much in tunnel vision on that viewer count number, and it's like, you need to not focus on that. Like, focus on being there and put on, you know, we're all entertainers, we're still performers on camera, off camera, or whatnot, but it's one of those things of like, you want to give it your all for that. Even if it's just one person viewing your channel versus 100, they should still earn that same performance, you know. And when people will start to notice when you're focusing on that viewer count and that's like your primary focus, and it's like, no, like that's not how it should be, you know. Like,
yeah,
you should enjoy the people that are hanging out with you.
Yeah, and I feel like people notice that whether or not they know that it's because of the viewer count, because I feel like, and I've definitely fallen into the trap of like, if I fixate too much on it, then I get so overly stressed about like, oh my God, I've got to like try extra hard, I got to do this or that. And then it takes away just like the joy and then natural, like who you are as a streamer, because you're trying to be what you think they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such an important thing. And I think that I know, at least personally, ever since I kind of like turned off like the viewer count, so that's not something that I see, it's helped me just enjoy it more, because it's like, you're just, you realize that you're there to get to hang out with people, and it's fun, and it's a good time.
And see, this is one thing, because I know you are a performer, and when you're not streaming, you're doing your acting and everything, and this is something that is very relatable. So I used to perform at Disney in Orlando, and every single time that I would go out and do a show or a parade, regardless of how many people are at that show, regardless of how many people are watching the parade, if it's raining outside and we are still putting on a show, and we, you know, you still want to kind of give that full 110%, 150% to the 5 families that are watching the show, regardless if it was 5 families or if it's, you know, 1,000 people. That's one of those things of like, that is what is very important to me, is that you know, your audience is going to be there, and they're going to support you, they're going to love you and everything. So that's why that is a whole thing that I got to take from my personal experience of performing at like theme parks and stuff like that to bring it onto stream. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. How would you say actually overall that your time as an entertainer and as a performer, how do you think that influences your streaming style and how you approach it? I mean, besides kind of what you already elaborated on.
So a lot of times, my thing is that you know, when you're on camera, you're on stage. You're performing on stage. When you're backstage, it's kind of one of those like chill, like, you know, I get to hang out with my friends, I get to be myself and stuff like that. And there are two different personas for streamers. There's no way to avoid it. When you're on camera and you're on stage and everything, you have the lights on, you have the camera on. It's kind of that whole like, this is like my comfort realm. This is somebody that you get to see in the light. And then backstage, you kind of are like very chill, very quiet, kind of like, you know, this is to myself, my time and everything. Exactly how I was at Disney. When I was backstage, I was one of those ones I was just like, I just want to relax. I want to, you know, I want to stay in the AC. I want to plug in my headphones and I just kind of want to chill. And then when I'm ready to go on stage and everything, I'm boom, ready. Let's go. Let's do this. This is what, you know, like, this is what I'm here for. And that's one of those things that it's like, it's okay to have that separation too. I as a performer and everything, I'm on camera, on stage all the time. But whenever I get that chance to be like off camera and just kind of chill and everything, it's a whole total different vibe. It really is. And sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Need that.
Yeah, you can't be on all the time. It's draining.
Oh my God, it's so draining. And that's why a lot of times when I do stream, sometimes I do have off-cam streams, because sometimes streamers just want to hang out with the community and they want to still be able to interact with you. But sometimes I want to sit in the dark in my underwear and I don't want to do a damn thing. I don't want to get prettied up. I don't want to get on camera. I just want to come and chill and play video games and hang out with you still. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually a pretty cool vibe of how I balance it out whenever I'm on camera and when I'm off camera. It's kind of like, it does have a nice balance to it.
Yeah. I feel like it gives you the ability to kind of be both sides of that performer persona.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nice. I like that a lot. Do you have any current favorite stream memories?
Oof. Okay, so stream memories as in like favorite instances?
Yeah, like things that have happened that are, you know, either funny or nice or
So during the course of COVID, on Thursdays I would go and hang out with my friend Nexus. He's an IRL friend of mine. And every Thursday we would go and hang out. We would walk his dog. We would go and walk around a park or something like that, just to kind of get that little bit of a human interaction as well as getting out of the house. Lottie in the chat, this is like, I can think of a few. This is one of the memorable moments of in our stream. So if you ever hear us saying adjusting, this is where that came from. So my friend Nexus is actually wanting to get into streaming and everything, and so I was just like, okay, cool, take my camera and you're gonna take hold of the stream. Okay, so we're walking around the park and he's like, out of nowhere, he's just like, hold on, I have to adjust myself. And I look over at him and I was like, you what? And he's like, not that. Like, he started freaking out. I was just like, I can't believe you just said that you need to adjust yourself on stream. And so basically what was happening is that his shorts was falling and stuff like that, and he tried to like pull his pants up and stuff. And
gotcha.
He's like, no, I just, and it was just really, that was a really funny moment. So anytime that we were always like saying adjust, or you have to adjust and stuff like that, that's a whole like thing towards Nexus. But there's so many funny moments like that. We bring up really funny toxic moments that, like, the other day, in one of my games, Final Fantasy 14, I resurrected another streamer who I was playing with into an unsafe zone, and she just got yeeted, and like, I trolled her, and it was just, we have like a whole bunch of funny moments like that. But Other than that, it's just, you know, anytime we have moments like that, I always tell them, clip it, save it, remember it.
Oh
know?
yeah. I mean, honestly, it's one of those that a lot of times I've had people in the community be like, oh, like, what's the best thing? What's the best way to be like an active viewer? And I always just say like just clip stuff, you know? I mean, sometimes it's out of context, but, you know, sometimes it's the fun stuff that like you look back on later and you're like, oh, cool. So that's going to exist forever.
So I actually just recently realized that there is a shout out feature. I think it's through Streamlabs, which I use OBS, like Stream Elements, but I think it's through Streamlabs that if you shout out a streamer or something like that, they actually pull up old clips. And I thought that was kind of cool because I would go into your stream and you shout me out and then you have like an old clip that somebody clipped of your channel. And I was thinking to myself and I was like, what is this clip from? And I was watching it myself because I was like, I don't remember this. And sometimes it happens and we're like, oh my God, I forgot all about this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like that's kind of the, like one of the funniest moments where you're like, I must have blacked out because I forgot that even happened. Like, or there have been clips that like, I'll go back and I'm like sorting through stuff later and I see something and I'm like, I genuinely don't remember saying that. Like, I do not remember that moment or anything else regarding that moment, but I guess I said it, but
there's a lot of times that I happen to say something that like my brain just goes brr a lot. And I literally, I'm like, I don't remember saying that. And I say it out of context and I'm just like, okay, well, it's there it is.
Well, there it is now. Yep.
So.
To be remembered and looked at forever.
Yeah. But
I'm curious, as Lottie mentioned the popsicle incident.
Oh yeah. So I did the one chip challenge.
Okay.
First off, I don't ever advise anybody ever to do that. Like,
is it that bad?
It's that bad. I kid you not. It is literally the worst experience in the world. It's not the spiciness that got me. I'm used to spice. It is not that. It's an hour or two after and then the 2 days preceding.
Ooh.
That's the worst part. I literally almost called an ambulance because I was in my bathroom on the floor. Like I literally almost passed out. That's how bad the one chip challenge is.
Oh my God.
When you're watching videos and stuff like that, I've been through it. Lottie has done it. I did it with Lottie. We've been through it. If you are looking at the videos and you're thinking, oh, these people are really like, you know, they're really dramatic. No, it hurts.
I was gonna say, because the other part about it, it's not just necessarily like the spice, it's what it does to your stomach and internal organs. Like
my intestines were screaming at me and twisting. Like that's how bad it was. Like,
oh my God.
It was so bad. During the one chip challenge incident, right after I ate the chip, yeah, it was spicy. It was hot. It was hot as shit. I went and got a popsicle and I was just like, I took the popsicle and I was just like on stream, just completely, yes, I'm going to go into context about this. I was completely deep throating the popsicle because it was that painful.
I was going to say, you're probably not even thinking about what you're doing at that point. You're just trying to make it stop.
I didn't even care. I was just like, I had rum chata, I had cream cheese like on a spoon just on my tongue. I literally was deep throating a popsicle and it got to the point that I was just like, I'm never doing that again. And then I went to go and suck on the popsicle and it went right all to the back of my throat and I just completely like gagged on stream and I was like, that's the popsicle incident.
Oh no.
So yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, it's understandable. The closest thing that I've ever done to that is it was like a gummy bear and it was like a really spicy gummy bear. Like they put spice oil into it. And I just like for a while after because I like chugged like half and half and milk and stuff to try to make it stop. And I just sat there eventually like with my tongue out just for a while. Cause I was like, I need to air it out. I went through so many Tums that day. And I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as the one chip challenge from what I'm hearing. So
it literally was one of those things of like, do I sit on the toilet or do I have a trash can ready for me?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know which end it's going to come out.
I was literally laying on, so I have a big trash can in my bathroom and I literally was like sitting on the toilet, leaning on the trash can, like it's gonna come out. I just don't know which way.
It's just kind of guessing of like, all right, well, it's coming out one way or another. We don't know how though.
Oh man, it was a bad experience.
Okay, I'm glad to hear this because I have considered it before, but I think that might quite possibly kill me. I think that it would. I'm gonna be honest, like it would kill me.
Like it's so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like I do not wish anybody ever to do it. Now, if somebody paid me $5,000 to do it, I'll do it again. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
Never.
The only circumstance.
Never.
Yeah.
Only circumstance.
I was gonna say, because then when you're dealing with everything the next, you're like, you know what? If this sends me to the hospital, I can pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Snort the chip. No.
Oh my.
Hi,
that
Maui.
would. Yeah. That would just fry your brain.
Oh, Maui's like, love me.
She does this always. Like, she won't ask for attention until I start streaming. And then she's like, hello, human, pay attention to me.
My cat is around here somewhere.
I think I saw Suki in the curtains a little bit ago.
Yeah, she'll like jump in the window and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Do you have a current favorite thing that you like to stream, or like a preferred game or content that you like to do on stream?
So, preferably I do love Final Fantasy 14. I used to start streaming a lot of Dead by Daylight. That was where I grew my community at. However, the game itself and the community, not the community members, but the game itself has become very highly like toxic and stuff. And it was very try hard as well. So I whenever it comes to games that are like esports and player versus player, I haven't really been enjoying it that much.
Yeah.
And I will flat out say I'm not a big fan of player versus player games because it gets very competitive, and I don't like to be in the competitive state because I get very aggressive and very like angry, and I don't like
I feel that. It makes me remember how frustrated I got during the Olympics when we were doing League. I uninstalled League after that game. I have not touched it since because I was just so deeply unhappy that I was like, I don't like to feel that way. Like, I don't like to feel super ragey. And so I was just like, I'm gonna, I stick to story games pretty much because I'm like, I'm doing my own thing and chat's there and we're all hanging out and it's just fun because we're just doing the story.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the whole Olympics thing. I was on the same page. I was just like, I have to be put into this position, and I'm like, I don't like it. And I got really competitive, especially with like Dead by Daylight and stuff. And I was just like, and then after that, it just started going downhill, and I'm like, I hated it, but it was a cool experience, I will say that, but I didn't like the competitiveness.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, I know that I personally have a tendency to I will get very competitive, and I don't like to be that way, but sometimes like when I'm put in a competitive situation, it just comes out of like, out of nowhere. I'm just like, I become this like rage monster of like, I have to do it. I have to win. And yeah, so it's one of those, like, if I'm playing games with friends and like, we're just all kind of joking around and like, it can be fun. But when you make it about like who's gonna win, I feel like then it can absolutely takes a little bit of the fun out of it sometimes.
Yeah, and also I'm a huge fan of story-based games too.
Yes, you are.
And I was there when you were streaming Life is Strange and Life is Strange 2. I was a huge those series, any story-based games like Detroit Become Human, Until Dawn. If you haven't played any of those ones yet or anything,
yeah, I did
highly recommend.
Yeah, I did both of those. Detroit Become Human, I just remember being so deeply shocked by looking at the map of how many possibilities, like the planning that goes into a game like that. And Until Dawn, that one, I don't like scary games very much. I'm not really great with them, but I actually really enjoyed Until Dawn. Like that one, I had to get used to because I'm a lot better I didn't play console as much growing up, so I'm not nearly like as used to it at all. I drew a little diagram that I put on the bottom of my computer that's like the triangle, circle, square, because I missed too many QTEs at the beginning of Until Dawn, but yeah, I had to reacclimate. But it was a good game. Like, I thought that it was really well, and the way they used the like motion sensor.
Girl, I dropped my controller. I'm like,
I clenched my body like this so I don't move. I was waiting at the end of the game for someone in chat to try to use a scare sound effect and mess me up. I would have been so upset too.
Did you save everybody?
I didn't save everybody. Jessica died, and I figured that was going to happen because she's one of the first people you can lose, right? And I didn't have any handle of the QTEs, and as Mike, you have to hit like all of them to save her. That didn't happen.
Sometimes you have to do the risky ones too, in order to get to her.
And you have to do it successfully. And I was not at a place where I was ready to do that yet. And then I didn't save Chris because I made the decision that after that, no matter what happens, I would have saved him had I not made that decision. But everybody else survived.
You know what was really funny though? It was my first time playing the game, and I just, for some god awful reason, for some things, I was just like, I remembered certain things, and like the point that where you could lose Ashley. That specific point, I remember something early on in the game. That's just how my brain works. And so whenever I'm playing these games, I just kind of like, I'm very observant and everything, but I don't know how I saved everybody.
Oh my God.
I don't know how I was able to. It was the craziest thing. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to play this game again.
Yeah,
because
like, you can't, like, you did the end goal.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about the game. It was just like somebody was like, hey, why don't you play this? And so I played it on my own. Like, I didn't actually stream it or anything, but I just played the game on my own, and I was just like, But I really love story-based games as well. I actually just started playing Animal Crossing.
Hey, yeah.
I've never played an Animal Crossing game, but I got a new Switch because of the community. Since my old Switch got stolen at work when before COVID, yeah.
I hate that.
So I got a brand new Switch, and I started playing some games on Switch and stuff like that.
That's so nice. Animal Crossing is one of those Zen games. Like, for me, it's like Stardew Valley. Like, I moved a little bit more into Stardew Valley, actually. I haven't played it in a while, but I love the ones where you can just kind of like, you go, like, you create and you kind of just like do things. And I mean, those are the ones that I'll sink hours into without realizing that it's been hours. So
what I typically do is that, like, when I'm playing Animal Crossing, I always do like when I'm winding down for the night, or when I wake up first thing in the morning. That's kind of what I tend to.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
I'm shutting down my computer, I'll take my Switch to bed, and I play it until I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
that's typically what I do.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, when I first started, because I started playing Animal Crossing when it came out during the pandemic. So I just have a very distinct memory of one night. I think I spent the whole night until like 7 a.m. playing Animal Crossing and watching the entirety of Tiger King. That was God. I feel like that was like the epitome of like a pandemic moment for me. Like, because nobody was at my house because everybody went home. So I was, for a couple of months by myself, and it was just me and my cat. And I would just play Animal Crossing and watch Tiger King and make commentary to the side to Maui as I played and watched. And like, she just looked at me like, what? But I would be like, no, like, I'm telling you, it's Carol. She's devious, and she's
that Carol Baskin.
Yeah, crazy
Carol Baskin.
She's a crazy cat.
But what was actually kind of cool, like when going back to the whole, like, when starting streaming and to now and stuff like that, my question to you is, how did you brand yourself? Because this is something that I always love hearing about people's what's the word? Not adventure. Their transformation.
Okay, yeah.
I like to know people's like transformation and how did they mold to the brand that they actually give themselves and stuff like that. Like, because that is a huge thing of Twitch, is what is your brand? You are selling your brand. You are selling you. And I always love hearing people's like journeys and how they transform their streams into what it is today.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because my whole thing from the get-go is just self-deprecation, and like my whole joke to fend off trolls is like, you can try to make fun of me, but you'll never hate me as much as I hate myself. Which is, a super uplifting way to go about it. But like, I don't know, I kind of leaned into the whole garbage. I literally call my channel, like, I'm like, welcome to the dumpster, I'm trash. I did have to kind of work through some stuff because as I got to know people better and as I made kind of friends, I used to always be like, I'm gonna die alone and I have no friends. And then I started to make friends through Twitch, and I was like, okay, well, I can't say that anymore. So I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like the way that I look at coming into like the dumpster or like, you know, being that, to me, it's like, it feels like I've wanted to cultivate a place for people who maybe growing up like have always felt like on the outside of something, or they haven't quite belonged somewhere, and finding a place where all of us can belong together, you know, and like our differences are important and also really cool because it gives all of us different things that we excel in, different things we can talk about. And I mean, obviously differences not in like this person's racist and this person's not, because like that to me, like that's not a difference that I can roll with. But like,
yeah,
I don't know, just allowing it to be a space where people can kind of just be themselves and be weird. And I don't know, it's like the cliche way of looking at it where it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. But like, you know, we have qualities that maybe haven't been valued by others in the past, but we value each other for them kind of thing. Like I don't
I
Sorry,
like
go ahead.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, like it feels
like
so
that.
like it feels so cliche to say it, and I've never like verbalized that, but it's kind of just how I've looked at it. And so I haven't done as solid of a job as like at like branding per se, but like creating, for me it's been a lot in creating the overlay, creating the look of how I like the aesthetic of my stream, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now I know that a lot of times that you tend to do a lot of just chatting and stuff like that, and it's really cool that you actually took that that twist and like, you know, you control as much as you want, but you're, you know, like I'm my own biggest troll. That's actually kind of cool and a really unique way of looking at it, because I've done a couple of just chatting streams and there's some things.
Oh, there are some things. Yeah.
There's some things, some people that I'm just like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But also you meet some pretty cool people that become part of the community that way as well. So
Yeah.
That is one thing that I've learned from just chatting streams. I don't really do it that much though. And I noticed that like you do it a lot, and I'm like, I wish I could be more like people like you and you know, be able to make up with comebacks like right then and there. And I'm like, I'm terrible at it.
Honestly, I learned a lot from like the amount that streaming and doing just chatting has taught me like improv skills is kind of astounding. Like I used to not be nearly as quick on my feet, and like you have to be ready to, you know, come back like and say stuff to trolls where like I noticed the other day, well, not the other day, a while ago, I was talking to my dad, and my dad, he like, you know, he teases us or whatever. And so like he said something to me and I like came back like that, and I was like, okay, all right. Like I was like momentarily impressed by myself. But yeah, it's something that I definitely kind of learned. But the other thing that I think that helps me deal with trolls is like, if someone comes into your chat and their goal is to make you feel bad about yourself or to make you feel pain, I just feel bad for them, because I'm like, what pain are you going through that this is how you feel like you're going to fulfill yourself? You know, like when you look at it through that lens, it takes away the, I mean, for one, it takes away like the mask, and two, then it's kind of just like, I mean, obviously I'm still going to ban someone if they say something horribly offensive, but it's like one of those that you're like, they're just sad and they're trying to make other people sad too, which is like more sad to me than anything else.
Believe it or not, my mom actually used to stream on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And my mom and Tony were kind of like my big influences in getting into streaming and stuff. And a fun thing that my mom actually taught me, and I still use it to this day, is that whenever people are coming into troll or coming into to do something like that, they're looking for attention.
Yeah.
And they're either looking for attention or they're looking for reaction. And also other people are watching you to see how that reaction happens, you know? And so that's one mindset that I always think of, is that like, how can I handle the situation right then on the spot if it happens or if it occurs? And it's one of those things that it's like, you know, don't give them the attention. Kind of like, you know, kind of nick it in the butt right then and there. And if they want to stick around, cool, stick around. Feel free to, you know, hang out and everything. But then if you start like, if it start escalating, that's when it's like, all right, hold on. But that's one thing that I've kind of learned as we as like I continue to stream and everything. That was one thing. I just I just try sorry, going back to what you were saying of like the whole like one man's trash is another man's treasure and stuff like that, and creating a safe space and stuff like that. That's actually kind of the same. I feel like that's a lot of what we do as a community here on Twitch, is that a lot of streamers want to create that space, that safe space. My envision was always like, same with Disney. My life revolved around Disney. I grew up at Disney. I've been to the park since I was a little boy growing up. My parents used to work there. I worked there. And so one vision that Walt Disney always had was that he wanted to create a space that people can be able to escape the outside world and come and be a part of like a fantasy land or a fantasy. And so that's kind of what like my envision was, is that to avoid everything that's happening outside. People, yes, we're going to deal with a lot of things. And we're going to come back to this too. We deal with a lot of things whenever it comes to being a streamer, and people seek us as like their best friends, and they seek us as like the people that they can escape away to and everything. And that is all, like, that is everything that I always wanted, was to create that safe space, and that people can escape whatever that is happening outside, and they can come and they can just hang out with us and everything. And that's one of those things that since day one I've always wanted to take it in that direction. I started with the Fat Cat Club, and I was the owner of the Fat Cat Club when I first created my Twitch stream, and then now I evolved it into being the leader of the Wolf Pack. And so I wanted, instead of feeling like I was owning anybody, I felt like that was a negative vibe, and so I wanted to change that. And so that's why that's where it came up with the leader of the Wolf Pack.
I honestly, it's such a beautiful I don't know, it's like such a beautiful image, like I guess mentally also, just like, because that's, I mean, that's what you are, like you're like, as a streamer, it's your responsibility to like set the page, like, you know, and the responsibility comes with that, but also getting to like, as a leader, designate like, hey, this is the space where all of us get to, you know, hang out and escape from things, and very much so in the way that, you know, Sean works his hardest to take care of and protect Daniel, you know, like, and I just, I mean, after having played the game, I appreciate it even more too, just because it's such a beautiful image, and like, I'll cry if I talk about it too much. That game made me so emotional.
Yeah, it really is.
But I love that a lot. And I think that it's a really neat transition as well, kind of going from one to the next as you know, find your own and figure out what it is that you want from the platform. Because I think that growth as a streamer, you know, you typically don't end up where you started. Like you kind of figure out what you want and how to get from the platform what you want. And I think that it's been really cool getting to see, I don't know, over just, I've, you know, always kind of watched what you're doing and keep track of it. And so like, just to see you come into your own like that has been like, it makes my heart happy.
And it's so great to see where we all started when we first learned, like knew about each other or met each other, to how we evolved to now. And that's like the great thing to kind of see the growth. And that's the whole thing too, is that we all grow together.
Yeah.
You know? We have each of our own separate communities, but we also all kind of grow together, and that's the good thing. And honestly, yes, COVID sucked. Everybody has their own views towards COVID, but I also want to thank COVID for one thing, for helping me build the community and meeting the people that I met over Twitch. Because if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't know anybody. I wouldn't know Lottie. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know. Eventually, I probably would know Katie because of Tony and Day, but like, I wouldn't know anybody in the community. So shout out for COVID. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
But I will say that there is something that you can kind of see that good, like a good thing that came from it. So. Yeah.
That's something that I've always been, you know, like I try to remember is like, yeah, for all the bad and all the chaos that it's caused, I think that it brought me a lot of new friends. And I think during this time, it allowed me to make friends, you know, through Twitch and everything, who, you know, friends that I could not have ever imagined that I would have. And like, I feel like I've made friends who are way closer than a lot of the friends that I made, 4 years in college. I know a lot of the people from streaming better than I know people that I was in class with all 4 years, and I'm just infinitely grateful for, the friendships and the communities that I've gotten to see and be a part of and grow. And yeah, I think it's also, but it's also important to, while recognizing the bad, recognizing that good can still happen. It wasn't
Exactly.
it wasn't a year completely void of any positive things.
Exactly. Going back to what I was mentioning before, though, and this is a topic that I've always wanted to pick at other streamers' brains and stuff like that, and as well as like community members and stuff. When dealing with of course this question is going to come up. When dealing with too much baggage, when somebody wants to dump everything on you.
Yeah.
That is one of those things that me as a person, and I'm kind of I'm fully open about this and stuff like that, so I don't really like I deal with it myself and stuff like that. But when dealing with certain things, such as like I battle depression, and I find ways to be able to escape that. So I stream. I just got my job back, so I'm focusing on that. I got my cats as like an emotional support pet for myself and stuff like that. So it's like I find ways to be able to deal with it and everything. But whenever people do come into the stream and they kind of tend to dump the I don't want to say dump. I feel like that's like a lack of a better word. But when it comes to like they seek out the friendliness that we offer and everything, and they want a friend, and I'm all for that. However, when it comes to certain situations that it's like, this is a little much, like I don't know how to really, what to really say and stuff like that. How do you handle that?
Those are definitely, I think I've talked about this with at least one other guest on the podcast, because it's something that a lot of people have issues with, especially when if you're in a just chatting category. Like, the hardest thing is when let's say you're having a conversation or whatever, and someone who's never been in the chat before, first time they were ever there, they come in and just drop something really, really heavy. My mind immediately goes to, are they trolling me? But then also, I don't know them. It's a lot to ask of someone, especially when you don't, like, and we've had serious discussions on stream before. Like I'm also, I battle depression as well, and Maui is my emotional support animal as well. And so, like, we talk about it. Like, I want to be able to be like transparent with it, and like we have those discussions, but it's also one of those, like, there's a way to approach it and there's a time and a place. Like, one of the things that I did that kind of helps is I have a mental health channel in the Discord. And so it's one of those that, like, one of the ways that I can kind of direct it it's obviously hard to navigate because you don't want to be insensitive, and you want to try to respect it and not cause any more issues for the person, especially being someone who battles with it. What can happen if someone does just the wrong thing at the wrong time. And so one of the pieces of advice I actually got that from another streamer is, if they come in and you're not really able to handle it, or that's not something that you feel comfortable discussing, is being like, hey, actually we have a mental health channel in the Discord. If you want to post in there, it's a designated, like, my thing is, it's a designated safe space. If people don't respect it, they get, kicked out of the Discord, and like other community members who are able to help, and who maybe they have a better emotional capacity to handle that at the moment or at that time, I kind of just redirect it there. Because then also it allows them, if it's something they're seriously needing to talk about and they need someone and they're looking for someone to help them, they can still kind of do it there. But then it's also like, depending on the situation, like, let's say in a situation where I don't know this person, they've never been in stream before, and we're talking. Sometimes, and this is the thing that I talked about with another streamer, it's like sometimes you just kind of hope that the messages go fast enough that you can go without addressing it and no one says anything. Because sometimes it's like, if you come just to seek attention, you come just to drain the emotional energy of a streamer, just because you, like, I understand needing, wanting someone to care about you, but using streamers as your whole source of emotional validation like, in my opinion, it's not cool, you know, like if that's all you're seeking from them is like that intense focus, or that, you know, we're human too, and we have our own issues. Just because we, you know, turn it on for stream to be like more happy and performative doesn't mean that that's where we are in life at the moment. Yeah. And so I think that that's not to say, like, when people hang out in my community all the time, and like I know them because, you know, we've had discussions and we've talked about stuff before, and they come in and it's like, I had a rough day. It's like, yeah, I want to know what happened and I want to be able to talk through that with you. But for me, it's like there's a difference. Like if there's that level of, I know them and we have a relationship besides that, it's like there are certain kinds of people, and I've had these kinds of friends before, where I feel like all of our interactions in its entire, our only interactions are them either like, I don't want to say like trauma dumping, but like it's basically just the entire friendship is like kind of that one way of like, you just have to continue to like do things for them, or it's they have this or this, and it's always that. It's never anything else. Like that is something that I've had to recognize for myself isn't a healthy relationship, because I know that I can't handle that. Obviously in any relationship there's a give and take, but if there's not a give and take, so that's, I guess, how I apply it to streaming. So
a lot of times, because I even kind of, I'm very open about this, is because I run away from a lot of the stuff with the reason why I stream is because I want to avoid stuff like that. And obviously it's something that's not really avoidable. But it's one of those things that it's like, I feel like if people should ask before. Oh yeah. Yeah. Before doing something like that. Because I've had people, and I don't know if it's for attention or anything, but I've had people that would drama dump me without even asking. And I even say like, I'm not okay with this. Like, and I feel like that should be, it should also be acceptable too, is that if the streamer does not feel like, if the person says like, I'm not comfortable with this and I'm not really comfortable like talking about it, I don't want to be that asshole to be like, no, like I don't want to hear it or anything. But at the same time, it's like, I deal with my own issues. Yeah. I don't want to have to, you know, say something and then I throw that person into a spiral, and I'm like, I don't want that. I think that people sometimes will treat a streamer like a therapist. Yeah, I was just about to say, people need to, what Lottie was saying, that streamers are not your therapist. Like we're here and like we care, obviously, like especially like when you're in the community, like I want to make sure everyone's doing all right, but at the end of the day, I do not have a psychology degree. I can't tell you what's the right thing to do. And yeah, the consent is so important. Yeah, there needs to be consent on the part of the streamer. And if that's not okay with you, and if that's not something that you can handle because you've got your own stuff going on, it needs to, I think people should not treat it as such a bad thing to say, I personally cannot handle this, and this is not something I'm comfortable with dealing with. And I feel like that view, like those people view that as like, oh, he doesn't care. It's like, or she doesn't care. It's like, no, I do. It's just, I'm here playing such and such, and I'm playing with my friends, and I'm hanging out with you guys, like trying to escape all of that. Yeah. And that's kind of one of those things of like, hey, come and hang out and everything, and like let's just chill. Do you want to play a game with me, or do you want, you know, or you know, it's one of those things that I'm still trying to get accustomed to myself, is that there's going to be times that people are having a rough day, and I'm like, hey, that's totally fine. Do you want to talk about it and everything? But if it's like something about like, what's the incident that I had? I had an incident that, and I felt like it just kind of kept happening more and more and more, like more stuff just started coming out. Like basically it's like a person came into my stream, talked about like they were having a baby, and it's like, oh, awesome, that's great. And then the next day they were saying that they're getting evicted. And it's like, okay. Another person reached out to me in my DMs, which my DMs have actually been closed now. Yeah. Because they were talking about that they had oh gosh, something happened to their kid, and it was like a stillborn or something like that. I'm like, this is too much. Yeah, that's like, it's the idea of like the parasocial relationship, where because they see you all the time, and they see you and they hear you all the time, but we never see them, you know. And so they have this really sense, like the sense of being really, really close to you, whereas like you only have a certain idea of who they are.
And I had to close my DMs really, really early because I tried to be there for everyone when I first started streaming, and it was bad for me, you know, like it's overwhelming. And like the way that I look at it, I'm like, when I'm streaming, this is my time to share with you. Sometimes I'll be in the Discord publicly, but my DMs and my personal time is it like it needs to be separate because you need to have time for just you. And I don't think, because people, I feel like in their mind it's like, oh, I'm just one person. But one, it can be really, really heavy. When it's something really heavy like that, like that's a lot to put on a person. And two, it's not just one person, because if you do it, then everybody does it, and then you're dealing with like the intense baggage and trauma of like a bunch of people. And like, how are you supposed to go live life and be able to live your life, because you're going to spend all of your time doing that.
Exactly. So that's one of those things that it's like there's some really awesome things of being able to share as a streamer, and then there's some things that it's like these are a couple of things that we do go through, and it's like just like what Lottie says and what you say, it's like, you know, it's one of those things of like, we're not therapists, you know, we do care, it's just that it's something that we have to deal with, and I'm like, I just want to play games. I want to hang out with people, you know, like I just want to. It
sucks. Like setting boundaries is probably one of the hardest things that I had to figure out how to do, and what those like what that means, you know, because I think that was one of the, for me, the transitioning into being more regular with streaming. Like I didn't realize that was the thing that I would have to figure out. Like I had someone give me a nasty message because they donated a bunch of bits and stuff, which I never asked them to do, but they're like, I did all of this and then you never played games with me, or da da da, and I'm like, you cannot buy my time. Like that's not how that works. If we're all in the Discord and we're all hanging out, like yeah, join in, like, you know, if it's a situation that's set up for that. But if I'm doing my own stuff in life and I don't give you special attention because you've done this, like you can't get upset about that.
Girl, I got a story to tell you. I had a guy that he subbed to me and all of this stuff, and I was like, that's great, like thank you so much for the you know, for the support and everything. But then it came out of the woodwork and he's like, I've been supporting you and I've been gifting you subs and all of this stuff, the least you can do is send me some D pics. And I'm like, excuse you? I was like, this is not OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's not how this works. You were on the wrong site, sir.
I immediately banned him. I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, like this is not what I started streaming for and everything. And I was just like, that was like literally upright, like in my face, and I was just like, no. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, happens. That's yeah. It always just kind of it blows me away. The audacity of people. I'm like, this is the agreement on Twitch. If you sub, it's of your own volition. If you donate, or if you donate bits on your own volition, you are not buying additional time outside of streaming. Like, you know, actually also so I have a thing where like my mods can post chats or like questions from chat. So I'm gonna some of them have popped up, so I'm gonna go through. Feel free. Sorry. It's one of those things of like, I always love like chatting with other streamers. Oh my god, and stuff like that, and no, like that's like, honestly for me, like that's kind of the overall goal of the podcast, is just talking about whatever comes up. And like I appreciate how, like, I don't know, you're very good and natural about like moving from one thing to the next, and like that's best case scenario for me, because there's none of that like awkward like, okay, so next we're going to, you know, like so no problems with that. I just know that some of them kind of relate to what we're talking about, so I figured I'd bring some of them up. Actually, I'll do the one that's most recent. What's the weirdest or craziest experience you've had with a viewer that is just overall scary beyond comprehension? Scary beyond all reason?
Yeah.
The weirdest crazy experience you had with a viewer. There is one viewer that still kind of stalks me in a way. I had a viewer that wanted to, so a couple of my moderators do know my address and stuff like that, because before I actually got a PO box, I gave them my address just in case if like people wanted to like send like birthday cards or something like that, or whatnot, because people were asking, and I didn't have a PO box at the time. So there are a couple people that do know my address, and there was this one viewer that literally came up, like tried asking my moderators for my address, and I'm like, interesting. And so basically the whole entire incident was that like somebody was trying to get my personal information to come over to my place, and I was just like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, and then finally I have a PO box, and then the moderators know like not to give my personal information out and stuff like that. Sorry, my cat food.
It's okay.
But it's like it's one of those things of like, that's when I started like really honing down on my personal information.
Yeah.
So like
that's understandable.
I will share what I do for work and where I work and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna share, you know, that any of that stuff. I'm like, yeah, the last thing I need is for somebody to come knocking on my door.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
I don't think I've had anything to that extent, thankfully. I mean, I've had people like threaten it, you know, like to my mods and be like, oh, banning me was the worst thing that they'll ever do, kind of thing, and like that kind of thing. But yeah, no, that's terrifying. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's probably the only like craziest thing that I had encountered with a viewer. I'm trying to remember. Lottie, if you remember anything, because Lottie's one of my moderators, if you remember anything, feel free to share it in the chat. But like if I you know, kind of over a certain thing, let me remind me.
Let's see. So another question that Thomas dipped in me here asked, do you find yourself talking about your life experiences within the boundaries you set, and those experiences, let's see, have gave your community new insights and how to behave in real life situations on balancing that cautious line? Hold on, let me just talking about experiences within boundaries and those experiences. Thomas, could you clarify the question? I'm slightly confused just by the wording.
Like my own personal experiences?
I believe so. I'm not sure if it's like Twitch experience have informed real life experience. I'm just gonna wait for the clarification on that. But in the meantime, I do have one from a Chasing Frenzy who asked, what's something you've wanted to do with streaming that you haven't had the chance yet?
Actually, so two things. One, I've actually really wanted to be part and congregate a podcast, just kind of like, you know, chilling with friends, chatting with them and stuff like that. And I've always loved listening to podcasts whenever I'm going to work and everything. I'm a huge sucker for lore, so I love like anything that is shared in lore and things. So I would eventually maybe think about trying to put together a Final Fantasy 14 podcast.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, something for like people to be able to listen to and stuff. I don't know. It was something that was just kind of like I one day I would like to, but I don't know. It might be on the horizon. The second thing is the reasoning that I actually started streaming is because, so my goal is Twitch is very terrible. I love Twitch, but Twitch is very terrible when it comes to smaller streamers being known and recognized and stuff. Yeah. And that's one of those things of like, my goal is, yes, I would love to reach partner, but I have different goals when it comes to that. If I did reach partner, when one day, hopefully I will, my goal is to try and try my best to expose the small streamers that deserve it. There are so many talented and so many wonderful small streamers that deserve to be noticed, and that deserve that. There's artists, there are musicians, there are people that deserve to be noticed by an audience, and they're not getting that recognition. And that's the thing that I don't like what Twitch has. Their algorithm is shit, and it's one of those things of like, that's kind of my goal, is that if I do reach partner, I want to help those small streamers, and that's something that I haven't achieved yet, and one day I hope to.
Yeah,
so.
I love the reasoning behind that too, though, just because like I feel like a lot of people have this like growth mindset in the sense that it's only to reach out to people bigger than them, so that hopefully they can, you know, reach that level. And like, you know, like networking growth, the concept of networking I don't like. I'm like, if I want to make friends, I want to make friends with you. It's not because I want any, you know, this or that. Like had the realization the other day that I honestly probably I back off sometimes from making friends with people because I'm afraid that they're gonna think that it's just networking, and like I don't want to be that. Like that's not what I want from friendships and relationships. And like if I reach out to people, it's because I genuinely am interested in hanging out with them and want to be their friends, and I'm also just socially anxious. But yeah, no, the networking mindset kind of bothers me. So I just really appreciate that you are approaching it from like, yeah, I want to help people who just don't have the opportunity because of, you know, the way that the algorithm is and everything.
And that's one important thing that I've noticed is that us as a community and us as other streamers and stuff like that, that seems to be the only way to actually grow in Twitch, is because other streamers communicating. And yes, networking, I hate the word networking. It's one of those things of like, but it's it is understandable. Sharing the communities and stuff like that, sharing the viewers and stuff like that helps, but at the same time it's like it's so much work. It is so much work. And I've gotten to that point. Again, I used to stream a lot of Dead by Daylight, but then I got into the point that I'm like, you know what, I want to stream for fun and I want to stream for me. And so that's why I took up mainly Final Fantasy 14, because it's a game that I love and it's a game that I grew up with like Final Fantasy and stuff, that I wanted to focus on something that I enjoy. And when people see something that you enjoy streaming, people are going to come in and people are going to want to hang out.
I was going to say, there's nothing better than watching someone do something they're excited about. Or, I mean, my whole thought process behind the podcast is like, there's nothing more interesting to me than listening to someone talk about what they're passionate about, because you never see someone light up more than when they're talking about something they're just so excited about. And to me, that's one of the most beautiful things to see, you know, to see someone light up. And so like when you're doing that, I feel like that's when you're in your element and people can see it and they notice a difference. So when you're doing it to enjoy it, and when you enjoy what you're doing, you know, people can definitely tell. I think I got a clarification on the original question, or the other one. Just like having deep conversations and your community being able to relate to those conversations, or to relate those conversations to real life scenarios, and being able to balance out those scenarios from it.
Okay, so actually this is it did kind of clarify it a little bit better. So a lot of the times, a lot of the games that I do, or that I stream, and a lot of the content that I stream, I stream it because I am a very emotional words. I'm a very emotional person. All right. Believe it or not, whenever I'm playing games and stuff like that, I play them because I want to feel something. I get those emotions out. Detroit Become Human destroyed me.
Oh my gosh.
Detroit Become Human destroyed me. When I got to Jericho and you talked to the one person that was sitting down next to the craft, and he says, I don't want to shut off, I don't want to turn off. That hit me so hard. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to play Detroit Become Human, and you need to, when you get to Jericho and you speak to this one specific android, you'll know. You will know what I mean. I played Life is Strange because I connected so well with it, because it's me and my brother, basically. My brother raised me growing up. My mom worked 5 jobs. My dad was in the military. I didn't really see my parents that much. Like, my brother raised me. I ran away from home when I was young. There's another thing that I connected with. So the reason why that I play a lot of this content is because of the emotions and everything. And sometimes that's the only way to be able to express those emotions.
Yeah.
And you don't know each person's story. I can probably compare something to Life is Strange in her own way, you know, and that's the reason why we play these games, is to seek out the emotions and to kind of compare something in our own lives. And most recently, actually, in Final Fantasy 14, yes, I'm going to talk a lot about it and everything, but it is such an emotional why do I keep saying that? It's such an emotional game, because it has a storyline, but then there's these separate storylines that you play, and it really grasps you and it really gets you. But recently there's this side quest that you do, and it made me, it literally, I cried. You don't hear anybody's voices or anything. You like, it's just text dialogue, but I got so emotional because it reminded me of my relationship with me and my father. Growing up, I didn't really have a dad, and the entire time growing up, my mom painted it, like, I love my mom. This isn't anything talking anything bad about my mom or anything, but growing up, my mom painted a picture of my father that he was a terrible person and he abandoned us and he broke every promise. And so growing up, I started seeing all of these things, and he's broken every promise in my life. He didn't make it to my high school graduation. He didn't do, like, he promised to be there for my 18th birthday. He wasn't there. And I see these things and I'm like, okay, well, my mom's right. Come to find out, I grew up, and so I kind of like disowned my father. I grew up, moved across the country to California. I want to be closer to my dad. And so now that I'm closer to my dad, I went to go visit him, and we spent so much time. We had a whole conversation and we talked so much and caught up basically in our lives, that I found out that my dad had no choice. My father was in the military. He had to move out to California. Told my mom, asked my mom said no, and she didn't want to follow him. So the reason why I brought all of this stuff up is because this one quest in Final Fantasy 14, this quest line that you do, had a connection between a father and a son, or a father and his kids. Father knew that something was happening and it was terrible, and he did, and the kids were kind of brainwashed in a way of like, this is how we're brought up and stuff. And then the father is like, no, like, he's trying to save his kids. At the end, you have this connection with the father and the son, and the son, like, he's basically turned into a monster, and he's like, father, I don't want to live like this. And he had that connection. And that right then and there, it's like the son protected, it's just the whole entire storyline or anything. But that right then and there, that's when the son and the father had that connection, and they rekindled that love to each other. And in order to basically save the relationship and stuff like that, and he turned into a monster, and it's just, it is a whole entire quest line. It's so much to explain, but basically that having that relationship rekindled back with the father and the son, that was like me and my dad, and it hit me so hard. And I was on stream and I was playing it, and I fucking bawled my eyes out, because I was like, this is me and my dad. And it's like, you know, he's a good boy, I'm a good boy, and my dad loves me. I'm openly gay with my dad and my mom. He still loves me like I'm his little boy. So it's like, it's that whole emotional part that I'm like, yes. So to go on with what they were saying, our emotions and our like everything that we share with the community, it's true, you know. And it's something that I am openly like, I love sharing these stories with my community, because it also helps me bond with them, and it helps me like connect with people. There's also other viewers that don't have a good relationship with their parents being gay and stuff like that. And so that's one of those things of like, sometimes people love hearing these stories and stuff. So
yeah, oh my god, that's so beautiful. I think that one of the things that I didn't expect from games, because I hadn't played a lot of video games for a while. Like, I played my brother's PS2 and his GameCube when I was younger, when he let me. So not often. And we had a Wii, you know, and so I didn't know a lot about most of the games until I started streaming. And, you know, I've always loved, one of the reasons that I love acting, as far as like, you know, what I've known for like TV and movies, is just the way that you can find this, you know, humanity and these seeing yourself represented, or having these moments, you know, represented, where you can feel just, you feel like you and this piece of work, you know, are like one in that moment. It's such a beautiful thing. And I didn't realize that games could do that for the longest time, until I started doing, you know, like Life is Strange and Detroit. Like when I started doing those and playing those, like I was so impressed and shocked by just the level of which it makes you feel. Like Life is Strange 2 for me, like the first Life is Strange game and Before the Storm, I felt a lot of like sadness and like, you know, like anxiety with the characters. And Life is Strange 2 for me, I think the thing that was the hardest about it was just the rage that I felt a lot of the time. That was, I would end streams some days with a headache because I was just screaming at characters, you know, because there were a lot of very antagonistic characters in the game. And I remember there's the part where Sean's out in the desert in his car. I could not handle it. Like it was, oh, I was so upset. But the thing that's so, the voice actors do such a good job, because it's, the animation obviously is beautiful, but you can hear the pain in their voice. You can hear, you know, like you can hear just what these moments mean to the character, and it like it hits you at your soul. Like I would have never expected this level of emotional intensity and honesty from video games, like from what I knew about video games, at least, you know, like I just knew, when I thought of video games, I thought of like, oh yeah, like Kingdom Hearts, and like it's a great game, but like I didn't know the depth that games could go. And I'm really happy that that's something I've been able to see through streaming, because like you said, like what a powerful moment to have, where it's just that like everything clicks and you're like, oh my god, that's me, like that is me in that moment. Yep. It's
and that's the importance of a lot of the games that you and I play and stuff like that, is that yes, we have Dead by Daylight, yes, we have Kingdom Hearts, yes, we have games that like we enjoyed as a kid and stuff like that and growing up, and but when you find something that you can relate to, and that's why I love playing the games that I do, it's because it makes me relatable. And when you find that right there, and you can see it in the streamer's eyes, you can see it in their emotions and their like, you can just feel their emotions. And that's going back with the voice actors, they do so well in it because they add their emotions into it. And that's the whole thing of like, you know what they're going through, and it's more than, and voice actors are actors too,
yeah, absolutely.
They're not just, oh, you just hear the voice. No, they are probably in the voice acting studios acting out these parts.
They're not just like, no, stop, please, this is not what I, you know, like it, like you have to be. One of my favorite things is I actually saw clips recently from the show Invincible, like not a game, but the show Invincible. It's on Amazon Prime, but like watching them, like the way that you physicalize it too, and how that impacts how you vocally, like, you know, like produce it. And I just have so much respect for just, I don't know, the way that it all comes together. It's oh my god, it blows my mind. It really does. Or
with Life is Strange, we don't have to go too much into detail about it, because I don't know if people have played it, or if people plan to play it, but I don't know what ending you got, because I was just like, I'm gonna,
thankfully it wasn't the worst. I watched all the endings
all
after.
Bad.
Well,
they're
yeah,
all bad.
They're all I played, when I played through it, I was still upset. But then when I watched the endings that I could have gotten for Life is Strange, there's one that had I gotten it, I would have had to end stream immediately. So I'm just glad that I did not get that one.
So I don't want to spoil the endings and stuff like that, but the emotion, there is one thing that literally you can make me cry on spot. And if I play a game, or if I see somebody and I see a grown man that barely shows emotions, or barely is like the tough guy and everything, if you have somebody in a movie, in anything, if there is a grown man that you barely see any emotions, you barely see, you know, he's like that tough guy, and he breaks down crying, I will cry, like literally instant tears. When I see a father crying over their kid, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm
fucking done. Like, I don't know what it is, but when you see that vulnerability of a man crying, it's so like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like it's anytime that somebody shows their vulnerable state is what gets me emotional.
Yeah. Especially when it's, you know, like you mentioned, someone who's like tough, and like it just reminds me of one of the things that can make me cry without exception is if I explain when I saw my dad cry. Because my dad, you know, he's like a laugh kind of guy, like goofy, whatever, almost never does it. If I explain when I saw him cry, like, you know, when I experienced that, the pain, because the pain that, you know, they must be feeling to get them to that point is just, oh my God, it's I don't even know. There's not like a word for it.
So I had a head injury incident when I was younger, and I remember a few things. I remember my mother rushing me to the hospital with my dad's shirt on my head. So basically I was playing out in the rain and I ran into the bumper of a moving truck, and it split my head open in 2 spots. I had to rush to the hospital and I had to get stitches right then and there. But as I was, what I do remember is seeing my brother crying, and he was worried about me and stuff. Any incidences like that, literally, it's one of those things. That's why a lot of situations in like Life is Strange, Final Fantasy also has those moments of like, you know, don't cry, and it's like I can't help it, you know. But in Life is Strange, it's like literally that moment of when you see somebody, and I don't know what ending you got, but I like, I'll just mention it. I'll just say it. Guys, if you haven't, this is spoiler.
Yeah, I'll motion to you when it's safe to unmute. I'll give you a thumbs up when it's time.
Spoilers. All right, spoilers. Go ahead and mute and everything. So I had the ending when I had the good ending that he went to jail.
Okay.
I didn't speak to Lara or whatever her name was. I never spoke to her. But he got out of jail, and you see his father in him.
Yeah. No,
you see his father in him.
Yeah.
And then the brothers hugged.
Mm-hmm.
And then the brothers went to the campsite, the campground in the rock. When he broke down, I lost it.
Yep. That wasn't even the ending that I got, but when I watched it, I started crying. I could not handle it because I was like, he's just to see the brokenness and just the pain. I'll cry if I start talking about it, but yeah, no, that one, that's not the one that I ended up getting was Daniel or Sean tried to go through anyway, and Daniel cleared everyone. No one died, but Daniel hopped out, and
he was a good boy. And
they grew up separately, and that broke my heart too, because I was like, after all of that, they're not even together, and they probably will never be able to, like, that also destroyed me, because like in the game my biggest focus was like keeping the brothers together. Like that's so important. And so I think that's also why when I watched the ending that you got, watching them, they were apart for so long, coming back together, and then not just that, going back down that path of the first thing that they did right after. Oh my God, I can't talk about it because I'll cry. But oh yeah,
that's the whole thing. So the way that story in that game relates to me and my brother is because my brother went away to the military. He had no option. So he went away to the military, and so it kind of felt like that close connection that me and my brother had when we were younger. It was actually it literally, if you think about it, it kind of is Daniel and Sean's relationship. But my brother went away to the military, so I didn't have my big brother, you know. I didn't have that person that I get to look up to and stuff. Not to, I'm open about it. But I hope it's okay if I shared it and stuff like that. It's a personal life experience that has kind of hindered on me and stuff like that. My brother has raised me and protected me for you know, growing up and stuff like that. When I was younger, I was molested by somebody, and I was taught things I shouldn't have taught and been taught and everything. And I thought, you know, a man and man is okay growing up, and then all of this stuff happened, and yeah. So that's kind of that whole story. I'm open about it with my community. It's something to talk about and everything, which is totally okay with me. But having that protective figure not being there,
Yeah.
and like you don't have that person to be like you feel protected, that's kind of what felt was ripped away from me when he went to the military. And then coming back, he was a completely different person, completely new person.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize him. So it was one of those moments of like, I had that. That's why that moment hit me so hard too.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, this is me and my brother.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can't
why
even...
it's like, that's why I love that game so much, and it's such a good game, and I'm so happy that you were able to play it and experience it, because it's like, it's such a mind-blowing game.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Also, this is my thumbs up. End of spoilers for people who, because I realized that I forgot to, but oh my god, that, I mean, I feel like also that makes the story so much more impactful. And then like me being, I'm so like, I don't know the word, dramatic. Yes, I'm dramatic. I literally got a BFA in deception, but
we're performers.
Yeah, we're performers, but like to make it, theatrical, I just think
Yeah.
it's also very beautiful, and I don't know what the word is for it, but it's very I guess I'll just stick with beautiful. It's very beautiful to also see, like, in your own way, you've become the leader of your own wolf pack now. Like, you've kind of like grown into, it's like, I don't know, like in a way, like seeing Daniel grow up and like become the protective figure, and like you have your wolf pack to look over and to help and to guide, and like it's very symbolic, I guess is the word. And so it's just kind of a beautiful, like I said, I always associate you with Sean and with Life is Strange 2. Like when I think about it, like I think of you, and when I played as Sean, I was like, wow, we are Justin right now. Like, so I just think it's so absolutely beautiful to kind of see. And again, it's like also beauty in the pain and in the negative. So yeah, also thank you. I just want to thank you for being so open and honest. I know that sometimes it's hard, and I know you expressed that you've shared it and you're comfortable with it, but I know that it can also still be intimidating. So I really appreciate your honesty and your candor, and your willingness to be just kind of, completely yourself.
It's one of those things that I've actually met some really great people, because there's people that deal with the same thing, or they've dealt with the same thing, and they don't know how to really, handle it in a way. And so it's one of those things that I'm like, I'm open about it, and if somebody wants to talk about it and everything, or pick up my brain, it's one of those things that it's like the community, if you don't know who I am, and this is me, this is who I am, I'm not lying to you, I'm not, putting a facade or anything, this is who I am. And it's one of those things of like, I'm giving you the full me, the full real me. And it's just something that I feel kind of needs to be, shared, and a lot of people relate to it. And that's the whole entire thing about, and a lot of people also look at us is that we relate to them.
Yeah.
Or they relate to us and stuff like that. So I've met some wonderful people that needed people to talk to, and
Yeah.
it's the experience of all of that. But
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the unique opportunities also, being a streamer, is that being able to be open about stuff like that, and like I appreciate your authenticity, because I feel like a lot of times as a viewer, like you see these people and it's so easy to put them on a pedestal where you're like, look at them, they're fine, everything's good, and to be able to be here as a streamer and be like, no man, like I'm not good, like sometimes I'm good, sometimes things are good, and I'm pretty stoked about what's going on, but sometimes things are not good, and like just letting people know that, like, yeah, sometimes life sucks. I feel like that's one of the best things that you can do, because then it's like people know that, like, that's the reality of things. There is no world in which we live with no issues and no nothing ever. So yeah, I think it's definitely a very, very important thing to do and to remember.
And that's the thing, it's like, we're all not perfect, and we all have our closets, or our closets full of skeletons and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it's people going off with the whole like, oh, look at this person, is they're fine and everything. It's like, no, it's not that easy, you know. It's not like, I don't know, it's something that it's like, it's just kind of, how do I say it? it's just basically like, if I feel like I connect with streamers, I connect with streamers in a very unique way, and I connect with my community in a very unique way, and I feel like it's not necessarily putting myself being vulnerable. It's more so, you know, I want you to know me for me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to know. I want you to know me for me, and not like somebody that I'm making up or a character that you're looking at the screen. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those, before I started streaming, my brother was like, so what's your persona? And I'm like, what? Like, I was just going to be myself. And he's like, no, you have to do like this. And he like showed me like a video of like Pokimane, and like, to each his own. Like, she seems like she's probably super cool and like really nice. That's not my personality. And I could not for a second pretend to, you know, have that much energy all the time. But two, like, you know, like that's just not who I am. And, you know, some people do personas, but I'm like, honestly, one of the things that I've always kind of stood by is there's only one of you in the universe. You are the only you that has existed and will ever exist. So why not just be yourself? Because like, yeah, there are traits that everyone's going to share with everyone because that's just how it works. But like, there's nothing more unique than being yourself instead of trying to be what you think people want, kind of thing. And
exactly. And
I just feel like it's a more enriching experience, both streamer and audience, to be authentically yourself.
I totally agree.
You're so great. I appreciate you so much. And we haven't gotten to hang out like this before, so I just really appreciate getting to hang out and talk with you, because you have such great opinions on everything. And I also appreciate the opportunity just to get to know you more.
Hey, someday we're gonna be able to hang out.
Yes.
You know, you're gonna come and visit Universal.
Oh my God.
You're gonna come and visit my girl Blue.
I'll hit you up. I will hit you up, and I'm super excited though, because I've wanted to go for a bit. Yeah. And now that I know someone who works there, I'm even more excited, because like I can be like I know someone, you know.
It's like,
it's like, it's whatever, but it's also super cool.
So I'm actually going to be doing Halloween Horror Nights as well.
Okay.
This year. They're going to be bringing that back, and they reached out to me. They're like, hey, are you interested in coming back? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
I've never done like a horror night thing, because I'm very easily scared.
I'm curious as to see how this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because of COVID and everything. I'm not sure if by then things will clear up. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, if you're doing it, maybe I'll have an excuse to finally go, because I need to bite the bullet and do something, put myself in a situation where it's safe, scary, you know. I just
bite the bullet. It's like, oh, it's fine. It's just Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. I can
actually fun story. So I'll ask you, but I'm pretty sure it's just your name. But what made you use Ayayoshi as your streamer name? Because I always love hearing. So my typical question that I always ask people whenever they come into the stream and stuff like that, or they hang out and chat, how did you come up with your Twitch name?
Yeah, I mean, actually, my story is super unexciting. Like, I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I didn't want to go by my real name, because I was big on, especially when I started, was keeping streaming and like my true identity separate, because I didn't know how I felt about, like, I didn't know if I was gonna like streaming, and I wanted to, it was like a personal safety thing. It was a name generator. Like, we put like different aspects in a name generator, and so it was between the names that came up and the ones I was deciding between. Well, two from the name generator. So there was Ayayoshi, there was Mango Cat was another one, and the other one that I came up for myself that I was contemplating using was Midnight Potato, because I'm like a late night person, and I also frequently refer to myself as a potato. So yeah, it was between those. But then Ayayoshi, I was just like, I really like the way that it sounds. Like, it was just kind of rolls off of the tongue. Yeah, it works, you know. And so I kind of leaned into it, and like, honestly, at this point, I feel like I'm more Aya than myself sometimes. So I mean, and it's the same person. It's literally just a different name. But yeah, how did you come up with your username?
So fun thing about it though is that Aya Yoshi is your character, is your persona. That's who
true.
you are.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you think about it, you know, you are your own character. A lot of us play video games that we create our own character, and you know, and that is us. So Shadow actually derived from a nickname that was given to me during Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. One year, it was in 2016. I was given a name Shadow, and people just call it, like jokingly just called me Shadow, because I would always hide in people's shadows to scare people.
Oh my gosh.
So if you're walking towards me and I'm hiding behind a like this group of people or a person, and you're walking towards me, I pop out from behind that person to scare you.
Oh my gosh.
So I stuck to the shadows, and so that's a nickname that was stuck with me. So the way that it's spelled, ShaadOe, it derived from, so if you ever played Elder Scrolls Online or Skyrim or anything, and you know Khajiit, which is like the cat race, there is a, so I used to play Elder Scrolls Online. There is a Khajiit with a surname that I came across, Doe. Their last name was Doe, D-O-E, and I was like, oh, Shaad0e. So originally the way that the spelling was that it was SHAA hyphen DOE. The AA is because my name is Justin, but it's JUSTENN with two N's.
Okay.
So I put two A's.
I love that. That's so cool. I was gonna say, because it's a nice, unique spelling too, but like just to know, like, I guess like all the where it all came from. I love that. I love that so much.
So there's two A's in my name because there's two N's in my real name.
Oh my God.
And so that's how Shadow came to be.
I love that so much. That's so fun.
So actually at work at Universal, people call me Shadow. They don't actually use my real name.
That's actually really funny. I feel like that would super throw me off too, because I would be like, oh, like it's Justin, you know, like I have to work sometimes because I associate people by Twitch names if I know them from Twitch, just because it's typically what you do. And so like switching back and forth. So I would like make this effort to be like switch back and forth, and someone would call you Shadow, and I'd be like, did I just dox him? Like,
it's funny because in real life, like if we actually met and stuff like that, and you like if I introduce you to my friends and stuff like that, they will actually call me Shadow in front of you. So
that's
it's
really
one of those
funny.
things. Like my real name is kind of like, it's there, but my whole persona and my actual like what I go by at work and everything is Shadow. So
that's super cool. I love that. Let's see. I think I have another question here. Yes, Thomas asked, have you ever come across another stream where where you could tell they were putting up a persona and not being true to who they are? Do you feel viewers are able to pick up that persona? And I guess, does it affect how they view the streamer or if they stick around on that stream? Interesting. I don't know if I've ever noticed distinctly someone putting on a persona so far. I feel like
I'm trying to think, because I know people on stream and then people in person, and it goes back. It kind of rolls back to what we were talking about earlier. When you're on camera, you're kind of on show.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of regardless, think of it as if you went to a job, okay, and if you were working in something in like retail or customer service or something like that. When you're on stage, when you're not backstage in the break room and stuff like that, and you're on stage, you kind of put on a show. You kind of put on a persona of yourself.
Yeah.
So that you look approachable, so that you look, you know, people can actually you look friendly and people can go to you. Whereas when you're backstage, when you're off camera and stuff like that, you kind of have a different persona, because that is the real you. You know, if me and Aya were to probably hang out, she would probably see a total different side of me, of like, you know, we're just chill, we're vibing, you know, and like she won't get the whole, and I will say it, she's not going to get the whole like energetic like Justin all the time.
Yeah.
Because it is a little exhausting.
Yeah. It's I want to say like, it's a theatrical version of who I am in real life. Like, I'm pretty theatrical in real life, don't get me wrong, but like if I hop on like a VC sometimes, like you can notice a difference in how I talk. Like I have a lot more inflection and excitement when I talk on stream, and I'm all like, like I gesture with my hands, and I have big facial expressions. And if I'm sitting playing a game or hanging out on a VC, I'm probably sitting there like this, and I'm like, yeah, so this is what I was doing. You know, like it's just so much more.
Exactly.
You don't have to, I don't know, it's a lot less performative in that way. And that's not to say again that it's fake. It's just you have to be in a more entertaining version of yourself when you're on camera, because you're here to entertain people and to, you know, I guess basically just do that. But yeah,
it's like you kind of put on a show, and it's you know, it's not being fake. It really isn't. It's just that you kind of, how do I explain it? Because there's some people that they're not performers. They didn't actually experience like being on a stage, being able to perform in front of people and stuff like that. And sometimes it naturally happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just kind of get into this bubble of like, oh my gosh, like this is something that is like really cool, and you're really loving it. And if you're really passionate about it, you're really going to give it your all. But then you can't expect to have that same energy when you're off camera.
Yeah.
When no one's looking and stuff like that. Do you have that same energy when people are not seeing you? You know, I'm the same way in voice chat. I'm very quiet. I'm very like, hey, what's up, guys? You know, just kind of chill and stuff like that, because sometimes you just kind of want to take that face off just for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? And just kind of chill and vibe. Also, hi Hambino.
How's it going, Hambino?
Hi.
Like you too. Yeah,
So.
it's really interesting. I mean, and like I feel like with like personas per se, like when people are being not true to who they are, like I feel like you can tell, and I feel like at least I can tell in real life, especially with like a very like, I don't want to say like poorly constructed persona, but like the way that I look at it is like if someone's being condescending to me but they're trying to act like they're a really sweet person, like I can see through that. Or like if someone's lying to me and I can tell that they're lying, it's kind of one of those like, honey, I got a BFA in deception. If you're gonna lie to me, do it better. Like
honey, we live in LA. There's a bunch of liars here.
Yeah.
Let's just start there first.
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Honey, we are in LA. Who do you think you are fooling?
Oh my god, there's so many of that.
Yeah.
So much of that.
It's my biggest pet peeve with the people who are just like overly sweet, but you know that it's just masking like just aggression, and I'm like, I can't. I don't have the energy to deal with this. Like but
it's even more like people who are just putting more of a wall and making an alter ego of a different person where you can't tell who that person is from the actual streamer.
I mean, I also want to say that to some degree, if that's the route that someone wants to go, like I respect if they want to separate it, and they've decided that this is a character that they are, you know, like that's not for me personally, because it would be exhausting for me, you know. But I know some people, I guess, do that, and maybe for some, I feel like it could be this idea of separating, like this is this realm and that's you kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily not work, because again, if it's a character, then you're authentic to the character. I mean, at least putting it in an acting perspective, like when I'm a character, my goal is to still be authentic in the moment as that character, you know, like it's not, it would be terrible for it to be like, I'm just faking it. Like I'm pretending to be this person. Like you, for all intents and purposes, should be that person. I don't know.
Masking aggression, but being nice. I'm trying to think.
It's kind of like when people are like, oh, you're so sweet, or that's such an interesting top, you know, like
Why, thank you. May the 4th be with you.
you know, like the stuff like that where people are just like, you know, that they're
very
being
condescending.
mean. Yeah, exactly. It's my biggest pet peeve. Everybody's learning and figuring stuff out.
So I will mention this though. It's very difficult for people to, say for instance, talking on the phone and texting are two different things. Okay. You can hear and you can listen to what the person's voice, like how they're sounding. In a text, you don't know if they're being condescending or not.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's like, as a viewer, for us viewing as a view for us viewing the text that is in the chat and us trying to observe the viewer and trying to like figure that out, we don't know, because what we read, we can completely think something else than what the person's actually truly saying. So that's the whole entire thing of like, you know, a lot of people misinterpret texting and everything, and I feel like that is because there's no emotions, there's no tones and voices that we hear, there's no like actual expressions that we are able to see. It's very difficult for us to see if there is a person that is showing a persona. Whereas for us, it's easier for you guys to kind of read us, because, you know, sometimes, yeah, I get pissed off. I get pissed off right on stream. I do. And it's, you know, it's because that's just how I am whenever I'm playing like a competitive game, which I don't like showing. I don't like showing that side of me, but it does happen. But, and then, you know, I don't know, it's something that it's like everybody's watching, everybody's judging us, and everybody's always like, what are they going to do? What are they going to say? What are they, you know, how are they going to react to this and stuff like that? And that's why it's like, don't give them the time of day.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah. I have a problem with, if I'm already feeling defensive, I will read things in chat as they like, as if they were posed to attack me, kind of thing. And I have to like step back and check myself sometimes, because there have been instances where someone's just genuinely asked a question, and just the topic that it's about, I'm like, well, let me tell you this, you know, and like I come back really like ready to go, because you know, it's that idea of like, it could be a genuine question, but I feel like so often, especially in just chatting, I'm on the defensive already, because I'm used to people coming in to try to make fun of me or whatever. And I feel like that's something that I've been trying to get better about. But I did that to someone literally yesterday, and it was one of those where they tried to set you up to read something that makes you say like a slur, but it's a different word, you know, and like, and then that's what makes me lose faith.
I've had a lot of people that would create fake accounts with my name in it.
I've had that.
And I'm like, why? What?
It's so much effort.
Like, yeah, it's so much effort. And also on top of that, it's like they were using my Twitch name, and then they were using my real name. Ugh. And when it got to using my real name, that's where I had an issue. Yeah. I was just like, that immediately I reported and everything to Twitch about that. I was like, no. Yeah.
Yeah, when people start making accounts, like, it's one of those, I'm like, okay, you have far too much free time. For me, I think the one time that I was upset is someone came into my stream and they told me that I was Chinese and that I was responsible for the death of their significant other. You know, coronavirus fun. And so they were making different like usernames with that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, stop. Actually, it's weird. The amount of people I've had come into my stream to try to tell me that I am a different ethnicity than I am is interesting. And it's not just like, oh, are you this? It's like someone insisted once that I was Korean. They're like, you are Korean. And I'm like, I'm not Korean. It's
nobody knows my background. So it's like,
I know. That's why I always go being that I'm the ethnically ambiguous human dumpster fire. Wow, we're the ethnically ambiguous crew. I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I do want to get to one question specifically before, like, just, you know, like there's a lot of other stuff that we can talk about as well. The one that I'd love to hear from you, and you can answer it as broadly or specifically as you'd like. But what's your story?
My story. Well, once upon a time, there was a little boy. What's my story? I don't want to go into too much detail.
Yeah, you don't have to. Whatever you're comfortable with.
So going from Orlando, Florida, from basically everything that I was kind of. So I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I used to work at Disney and I used to work at Universal out there as well and stuff like that. I have one older sibling and then I have a half sister. Just kind of feeling like, I don't know, like I got my degree and stuff and I just kind of felt like I didn't really have anything left in Orlando. I had a little bit of a controlling mother, and I just like, you know, I wanted to move out, but then I just didn't want to be in Florida anymore, so I just kind of moved out west and everything. I just kind of wanted to get away from, I wanted to run away. I literally wanted to run away. So I packed up my car and I moved out to California just to kind of, I wanted to kind of go on a little bit of an adventure. And sometimes it's scary. It's a very scary thing to kind of get up and just do that. Some people are, you know, my friends and everybody are from here, or they were born here, or they've been here for so many years. And I just kind of literally, I had money in my pocket and I just kind of drove. I packed up my car and drove. So I've been out here ever since 2017. And it was kind of hard, but a friend of mine told me, if you can make it three years, give it 3 years. If LA doesn't chew you up and spit you back out, then maybe think about going back. So I was like, cool, gave it 3 years. Third year came around, guess what happens? COVID. So I will say that I have been absolutely blessed with everything that has been given to me, that I worked so hard for when I living here in California. Trying my best to maintain my job at Universal. When I first moved out here, I was actually I had a scam job. It was a job that basically we were standing out in front of Ralph's and Starbucks and stuff asking people for money because of the DARE Foundation. Do you guys know about the DARE Foundation? You guys know the laws in California that they can smoke freely now? So it's one of those things that it's like, okay, well then, like, I was completely lied to what the job was for. I was told it was like so I got my degree in event management, and it was told it was for coordinating. Like, cool, events around California, awesome, something that I really wanted to like shoot for. It wasn't that. So literally, I lasted there for like 5 days, and I walked into Starbucks next door, and I asked them. I literally pleaded the manager if they were hiring. Told me to come in for an interview the next day. Got hired.
Nice.
Starbucks saved my life. I was working at Starbucks for a while, and then you know, I was kind of sleeping in my car from time to time because I lived far from this location, and I was just like, there were times I'm like, I'm gonna just sleep in my car, which isn't the safest thing in LA. I made it work, and then I talked to I was on the phone with my mom one day, and I was like, I don't know what to do. She's like, well, why don't you go and do something that you are comfortable and that you love doing? And that was performing. Because I honestly, I did not want to go back to performing. I wanted to just kind of hang that up and be like, I'm done with it. I want to go and find a career that I want to do. And that was event management. And that's another reason why I moved out to California, is because I wanted to get involved in like TwitchCon. I wanted to work these events. I wanted to do like D23. I wanted to do E3. I wanted to work and coordinate these events, or like work and like, you know, set up the areas and stuff like that. So that was the whole passion of what I had. But then I knew it was very difficult because LA is very challenging and very difficult to be able to get what you wanted. So I went to an audition at Universal. Somebody was like, hey, there's a stilt audition. I've been stilt walking for 10 years. Cool. So I went to this audition, and that's actually how I landed my stunt company job.
Oh, nice.
That I currently work. So fast forward to now, I am back with the company. After COVID, we were all let go. We were all fired from Universal and stuff like that. So all of that happened. And then just recently, in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, I got my job back.
That's so exciting.
And so, and then also during COVID, because of Twitch, and the wonderful community that Twitch brought me, I was able to stay in my home. I was able to pay my rent. Yes, I got unemployment, but it wasn't really enough. But because of the wonderful community and everything, I was able to stay where I live now, and, you know, keep food in my stomach, keep food in Suki's stomach. And it's been a blessing. It truly has been a blessing. Getting to know the wonderful people of Twitch and being able to survive out here. Cause I was worried. I was seriously worried during COVID. But now I think I'm working my way on getting full time at the at my job again. So
Hey, well, that's awesome. I'm really happy. I don't remember when I first heard it. I don't know if it was I was on your stream or something, but I remember hearing you say that you were going back to it, and I was so excited because I think also like it'll be nice to get to do it again. I think like just to be able to, I don't know, have something to break up the day almost, because like I feel like one of the things that's hardest about, you know, being stuck inside is just being stuck inside all the time. And but that's so exciting.
And like the social distancing and stuff. No, don't get me wrong. I'm an extrovert introvert. Okay. I don't mind staying home. I don't mind being away from people and stuff like that. I hate crowds, believe it or not. Yes, I work at theme parks. Yes, I love going to gay clubs and stuff like that. Hate crowds. But I also love being in the ambiance of people.
Yeah.
Sundays I used to go out for brunch with a small group of friends, like about 6 of us. We would go out for brunch and stuff like that, and that hasn't happened in a year. And I miss that.
Yeah.
You know? I miss that moment of like at the end of the week, after working and doing everything, you look forward to a day to be like, hey, I get to just go and have brunch with my friends. Like that is the things that I miss. That is what I miss so much. And I'm waiting for things to start. We will never go back to normal, but we're in the right direction, hopefully. And when that happens and stuff like that, for sure, I am definitely gonna be reaching out to people to get some mimosas. And hey, yeah, if you and Hadriel want to get some mimosas, let's do it.
I was gonna say,
by the way,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, by the way, I'm fully vaccinated as of Thursday. Yeah, I'm fully vaccinated because I think you have to wait 2 weeks after you get your second shot or whatever. So, but I still wear my mask and I still do all of the things and everything, social distance and stuff. But yeah, that is one thing that Moderna second shot kicked my ass.
Yeah, I got Pfizer. I got the second shot, and I don't know if it's because I woke up early the day I got the shot to do my workout for the day. I don't know if that's what it was, or because maybe I drank enough water. Like I had a little bit of like feverishness and a headache, but I was pretty much okay besides that. And I've heard it absolutely just wiped people out. So
4 days for me.
4 days.
4 days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, mine was basically like that evening and like the next day a little bit, but
yeah.
Dang.
Yep. It hit me for 4 days and I was just like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would absolutely love if you ever want to hang out like a Sunday, you guys want to grab like brunch or something like that.
I would totally absolutely be down. That would be great. I miss just getting to go be around people. Like I'm definitely an introvert, and I've always considered myself as an introvert. But what I realized is I'm not fully an introvert. I need to be around people some. Like, you know, it's like I need to have some of that interaction. Like I don't like I'm more of a small group of people kind of person. Like you were saying, I don't like crowds. I don't like if it's a really big group. I tend to like get small and kind of like pull back. But if we're in a small group of people, like that's my ideal setting, because like we can all talk, we can all laugh, but it's not so much so that it's overwhelming. So
what's really funny is that you'll know when you come to the parks with me, I hate crowds. So what I tend to do is I tend to stand on the like if there's like a big crowd of people in the center of like the street or the road, you'll know that I stand on like I walk on the outskirts of the road, or I'll walk on like the curb. So if we go to Disney or whatever, I'll be like, like weaving through people.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was it? When like going to like a club or something like that, I'm all for going to a club and everything and having fun with my friends, but we'll pick a spot away from like like if we're gonna go to the dance floor, we'll go in like our little group and we'll find like a corner of the dance floor.
Honestly, that's like
I would never be
one of the
center.
best. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the best like situations though, when you've got your group of people that you're enjoying the company of, and you kind of do your own thing. Like I feel like I don't know. I never really went to clubs that much, and my best friend and I, when we were reaching the end of our senior year, we were finishing all our senior projects, and we're like, when we're done with this, we're gonna go out and we're gonna have a good time. And then we were reaching the end of our senior projects, and then COVID. So yeah, sad days, but maybe someday.
Well, I need to celebrate my 30th birthday.
Oh my God,
I didn't really get to do it, so My 30th birthday just happened in February, so
Well, happy belated birthday.
thank you. And I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
I still need to come and hang out with you guys though, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, or like just come and visit Universal and get some butterbeer, and I'll tell you all of the good things to do.
Yeah,
Tell you the things to do.
My favorite thing is frozen butterbeer. Like I'm a frozen butterbeer. I also I love like ices and like frozen beverages to begin with. So that yeah.
Also, there's only I think a max of 10,000 people that are allowed in the park.
Okay.
So now would be a really good time to do it.
That's true.
I also have fast passes for Forbidden Journey. So if you wanted to go on the Hogwarts ride, I have some hookups that if you wanted to immediately just go right onto the ride.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. I'll absolutely hit you up also when I'm getting ready to go and everything, because I mean, for one, I want to make sure that I can see you, but also any of your, you know, tips and tricks and advice would be helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what beers to try and what beers not to try.
Yeah.
It's like but
one question that I have to ask that my mods ask every single time. They always have to know the answer to this.
Okay.
When you are crafting a bowl of cereal, do you put the cereal or the milk in first?
I put the cereal
Okay,
in
good,
first.
good. Take that, Chris.
But so I put the cereal in first, and then I put the milk. But then if I want more cereal, then I'll pour the cereal on top.
Yeah.
There's no other way. I don't drink the milk though.
I don't
Actually,
either.
no.
I do sometimes, but it depends.
So I drink it with almond milk, vanilla,
Okay.
and then I add in horchata.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay.
And
Yep.
I also add in rum chata.
I need to reinvent the way that I do breakfast.
It's really good. You gotta try cinnamon toast crunch cereal with rum chata.
That sounds really good. I actually the other day Dom and I got they have like cinnamon toast crunch, and it's basically the exact same thing, but it's shaped like churros. It's really good. I like it. I don't know, I think it tastes better because it's shaped like churros, but that's what it's so good. I miss Disneyland churros. I miss that. I want that, and I want a Mickey Mouse pretzel. Like those, my roommate and I, we had passes, so we used to go, and sometimes it'd be after class because we went to school down in Orange, right next to it. It was like 12 minutes from Disney, so we'd go after class to get like a pretzel or a churro, and I miss that. I miss that so much.
If you're Hispanic and you don't know what horchata is, are you even Hispanic? I love rum chata. Rum chata. Have you ever had rum chata?
I don't think I've ever had rum chata actually.
Oh, it's so good. It's literally it's rum, and it tastes like cinnamon toast crunch.
What?
It's literally cinnamon toast crunch. It just has alcohol in it. So good.
I need to get some
It's
of
so
that.
good.
I need to.
It's
I mean,
so
that would
good.
be. I feel like it'd be dangerous for me. But
Dairy?
no. Just if it
Oh.
tastes good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm very much so the kind of like, if I can taste it, I'll go like really, really slow on it. But if it has a good taste to it, I go too hard too fast.
Understandable.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, good.
I was gonna say I noticed there's another question from one of my mods in the questions. So if you wanna say something, you can absolutely go ahead.
If you what was the question? If we reach
Oh,
Wait,
no,
what?
there's one one that they consolidate all their questions in a Discord that I look at. So I don't know if this was in chat, but my mod Chris asked, what's one thing you feel proud of in your streaming career?
Oh, okay, so I try to do a lot of charity streams. I felt very, very, very proud and like really excited about doing a charity stream for it was my very first one, but I've done a few since then. But my very first one I was actually really proud of because it was my first one, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know, like, if I set everything up correctly and stuff. I did a charity stream for World Health Organization, and this was like at the beginning of the pandemic, and I wound up raising. I did a 24-hour stream, and I wound up raising $1,300, and it was my very first
Oh my gosh.
charity stream. Yeah,
that's amazing.
That, it was mind blowing because I was like, I was like, I've never done something like this before, and to know how many people, and to know that there's so many people in the community and so many people in the world that want to help, and they want to, like, you know, I even thought about trying to help raise money for a friend that lost their house in a fire in Oregon and stuff like that. So it's like, it's things like that is like giving back to the community, because it's important. It's so important.
Yeah.
During June, I partnered with my friend Colinar. If you ever see him hanging out in my chat, Colinar is also another LGBTQIA2+ community member, and he also streams a lot of like Grand Theft Auto and RPing. But he really wanted to do a fundraiser for Trevor Project, and we wound up almost raising $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
We did that for Trevor Project, and then no, it was more than that. For Color of Change, I did another stream, a co-stream with my friend Brett, an IRL friend of mine, and we wound up, I might be pushing this number out, I don't remember, but I want to say it was around like 33,000, or not 33,000, 3,300, sorry. 3,300
oh my gosh.
for
Still,
Color of Change.
Yeah.
During like the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. We wound up doing a partnership. So doing the fundraising streams, very exhausting. Very exhausting. But they were so much fun, and to see so many people that want to just help out and make a difference in the community and stuff like that, that is where, like, I absolutely loved. I haven't done one lately. I am going to be doing another one though. I'm going to be raising, hold on, actually a friend of mine literally right before this reached out to me, and she's like, have you ever done any charity streams? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. The hip dysplasia, International Hip Dysplasia Institute. So basically it's for I'm actually I need to do some research on it, because this literally just happened before this, but basically those that are having hip problems at young age, old age, and stuff like that, they're trying to raise money to basically help their research and stuff like that, and catching it early and everything. So that might be my next thing that I'm gonna do. I definitely will be doing an AIDS charity this year. I really, that's a huge passion of mine, is to help raise money towards finding a cure for AIDS and stuff. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's something that I am really looking forward to this year. I wasn't able to do it last year, but I definitely want to focus on that for this year. So
yeah, you were such a amazing human. The more that I get to know you, the more that I just really have a lot of respect and admiration for you, just the way that you approach things and the way that your outlook on things, whether it be, you know, charity streams, or, you know, finding ways to use your platform to help others who, you know, haven't had the opportunity to find a platform. And I really appreciate and respect that.
That's one of those things that it's like, that's the whole purpose of being on Twitch. When if anybody asks like, why are you on Twitch? Like, well, what's the whole purpose of it and everything? Some people don't have an answer. And I really like to entertain, or, you know, if I'm not entertaining, I really like to try my best to give back to the community. So
that's amazing. Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm so glad that I have had the opportunity to get to chat with you and get to know you more. And I can't wait until we hang out, you know, get mimosas. Yes. Yes. So I don't want to keep you too long. I want to make sure that you know, can do you. And
I'm gonna devour my Panda
Oh my
Express,
God, you have so much self-restraint. I would have been eating. I absolutely would have been eating it this whole time. You have so much self-restraint. My respect just went up like tenfold.
I'm
so.
like, I don't want to talk with my mouth full, you know, because that's like very rude. And Even though I do it all the time on stream, you know.
Oh my god, yeah. No, I totally get that. I went through a phase where when I was still in college, I had 2 hours of time between classes and rehearsal for the play that I was in that I'd come and stream, but I had to eat, and I always had my Caesar salads, and I'd sit there crunching on my lettuce and croutons the whole time. And
it's like, yes, ASMR.
I know. I was like, the only ASMR I ever do is unintentional.
Just eating croutons.
Yeah, just crouton ASMR. It's a genre all in itself. It's got its own category and everything.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I want to let you go eat your food because, oh goodness, I can't believe you've just been patiently waiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to promote?
If you guys would like to come and follow me on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/SHAAD0E Shaad0e. I stream every day besides Wednesdays. No, I actually, my schedule is kind of in the air because I'm returning back to work and I don't know what my schedule is just yet. But I do stream Mondays and Fridays, and I do a lot of Final Fantasy 14 raiding. So if you guys don't know what that game is, by all means, come and check it out. And who knows? I've been bringing a lot of new community members into the game, and if it's something that you might enjoy, you might want to be a part of, come and follow. If not, I have Instagram and Twitter. You could just find me on the same name.
Yeah, and if you are looking for the link, we've got the !guest command in chat, and it should bring up the Twitch TV link. And I'm assuming you probably have your socials linked through your About Me and stuff. So if you want to find all the other socials, go find them there. Definitely go drop a follow and support this amazing human who puts so much energy into supporting everybody else. You know, it's so important. It's so important to support you.
Also, I need friends to come and water my flowers.
Oh my gosh,
too, so,
I haven't played in a while, but I absolutely will get back into it. So
I literally just started recently playing, and like I'm getting that whole like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and no one else is like, oh yeah, I haven't checked it in like a year, and I'm like, well, come back. And
the thing is, I know if I open it, I'll play it for hours. That's the only way that I play Animal Crossing. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what I'm gonna do after stream. I mean,
all right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna transition us off to the promo screen just so I can say goodbye to you and everything. But yeah, I guess if you want to say bye to everybody in chat.
Bye chat, bye everybody, bye dumpster, I don't know.
Dumpster, Cowboys is Dumpster Mafia, so I guess we're a mafia.
Dumpster Mafia.
Yeah,
see you later.
Casual. All right, I'll be right back, guys.